Welcome to Temple Tactics. Today we have with us Asia One, who is the founder of No Easy Props nonprofit organization, and with her some practitioners. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready and interview these individuals and find out what No Easy Props is about. Welcome guys, thank you for coming, taking your Saturday to come out and talk to Temple Tactics about No Easy Props. So let's get into this. Can you tell us who we have sitting right here? Starting with you, sir.
Yeah. My name is Bboy Enerjetik. I started breaking in 1993. I got my B-Boy name from Prince Ken Swift from going to B-Boy Summit 3 thanks to Asia One in 1996. I'm all around B-Boy. I got my own YouTube channel under Bboy Enerjetik. Been breaking close to 30 years now, and just glad to be alive and well. Grew up in Orange County in Fullerton. Still here to this day, 2022, representing West Coast Rockers, California, and Calypso Tumblers.
Energetic.
What's up? My name is Bboy Rapid One, originally from Columbia, Maryland, the DMV area, shout out. Been out here in LA since 2010, been breaking since '98.
What up? I'm Ervin Arana, originally a B-boy, got into a little bit of DJing. I do photography as well. I started breaking in '93, that was my introduction to the scene. And I'm Long Beach based. And yeah, I've done a lot of cool things, and here I am fine-tuning the process.
Wonderful. All three of y'all No Easy Props alumni or students at the moment? Yes? All three of y'all?
Yeah.
We down with these No Easy Props.
Cool.
We definitely do our best to support the cause.
Because I'm just wondering, because y'all are elders right here, so I'm just wondering, most people think, breaking is for the youngsters, right? But here y'all are at y'all's age and still being involved with No Easy Props and breaking. This question is for you, Asia.
Sure.
Can you tell us what is No Easy Props?
So No Easy Props, it was started in 1997 more as a movement to encourage hard work and ethics in hip hop, right? So it was a time in hip hop where a lot of people got involved in the 90s as practitioners, right? It was all about really leveling up. It was really, basically everything had to do with your skills, your craft, the amount of time you put into your art form and developing it, as well as your knowledge of hip hop and your knowledge of life in general, so to speak. It's kind of like a full hip hop at that point was kind of a full 360 experience, the cypher being that 360 experience. And I think like as we moved into that era, like end of the 90s, early 2000s, things get, the underground essence of it was already kind of getting exploited again, and more and more people were getting into it, but it was kind of like they were getting easy props, like people were getting put on before they really earned their spot, right? And for all of us that came up a certain way, it was really just an anthem to really hopefully bring that forward to another generation to understand, like, you gotta work hard to get your spot. Like, everybody gets respect off the top because we gotta respect each other as human beings. But your props, your accolades, you have to work hard to earn those, and that's not gonna maybe be for everyone. And might not be everybody that can get those accolades, but it's like we all have a shot at that. So it's like work hard, kind of that work hard ethic. So that was in '97, and then so really what we started doing is that at that point in time too, there was a desire and a demand for a lot of these dancers from the U.S. to travel to Europe and to other places, and a lot of times we weren't represented like as a management. So we started doing some management work for dancers to get people to other countries, to other places. We were working with the Electric Boogaloos, helping them get to Europe. And we started cross-pollinating enough with a lot of these European promoters that we kind of started an international branch over there where they would bring dancers from the US to Europe to do tours, to do shows, to do workshops and things like that, and we would just help kind of facilitate that. And essentially, like, it was more just a movement until we became a nonprofit in 2010, because we started doing an event called the Bboy Summit that event was founded in 1994, but No Easy Props started producing it in I want to say like probably like 1999 and onward, or maybe 97 actually, when we kind of started No Easy Props. So that was when that kind of came into the play of like, okay, event production. And then we started an after school program in 2007 called Hip Hop 101 that became part of like the LAUSD after school programming. So it was sort of during that time period we realized that everything we were doing was more for public benefit rather than for public profit. So we were in kind of like the wrong profit sector. So we decided to reincorporate as a nonprofit or for public benefit corporation, they're called, in 2010. And then that became like the start of a lot of larger projects and other programs and events for youth in the community.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well said.
and most of these guys, so you know, most of these guys, so they've either been involved in the summits in different levels, like just whether they, like Enerjetik said, he would come and get down and end up getting a name and a rep right at that event, to becoming part of the after school teaching staff. Like we all kind of started teaching together at the same time and bringing this forward because we're made up of hip hop practitioners. That's really the only people that are really part of this organization. So I think we're probably one of the only organizations like that where it's not like we don't really have people even on staff that aren't really a part of hip hop, that, you know, we just all, this is what we do, this is what we believe in, and this is what we want to bring forward to our community. So No Easy Props is a vehicle for us to bring that forward, and also come together and try to make like, okay, well, what would be good to have at the summit this year, or what kind of things can we offer? Like one of our programs is called Fortify Our Rebel Youth. That's one of our newer programs, and it's for teens 13 to 19 to basically learn, and we can bring forward the apprenticeship model and the mentorship model to these young people and teach them the skills and trades of hip hop, and also the business sides of things, as well as life skills and things like that through that type of program. And they all come on board and teach the young people. And we're also going through our own professional development trainings and learning more about how we can help these young people navigate like trauma, relationships, healthy relationships. So that we're learning more about that so we can meet them where they're at, to kind of see how these art forms work on a deeper level to address those things.
Wonderful. As she was saying, you know, y'all have been involved at various different levels with No Easy Props. What keeps y'all going back to No Easy Props? Whoever wants to field that one.
For me, it's really giving back to the youth. When I started dancing back in '98, we didn't have YouTube, or especially in my area, there wasn't really a big scene like that. So my, first learning experiences came from Beat Street, and Wild Style, and Breaking 1 and 2. And just like actually on VHS, slow motioning each freeze frame. And for me, just impacting the youth in a way to where, you teach them a couple of moves, and that confidence that they build, they take that, with them wherever they go. Kind of, my thing is just breaking kids out of their shells and building that confidence through dance is what really moves me and motivates me to work with No Easy Props.
Wow, that's beautiful. Anyone else want to field?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's my personal mission, right, is, to change the world. I know it sounds corny, but my approach isn't to be Che Guevara, bust the door open and say, revolution, we're gonna change things. My experience has taught me that, you can sort of nurture people and plant seeds and sort of, I guess a better way to say it is, I'm trying to hack like the answers. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of default answers that people give that look great on paper, but I feel like the real answers become spending time with people, exposure to certain arts or experiences. These are all things that changed my life. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So I shared this with Asia, but in the beginning, I was teaching these classes, and my goal was to make these, elementary school kids like the best B-boys and B-girls possible. Right. I later evolved and realized that it wasn't so much about the moves and it wasn't so much about the culture. It was the exposure to it, the idea that you can do something. Do you know what I mean? And so for me, it's just been that. It's like when I go to these schools, it's an introduction. I treat it like an introduction, but really I'm sneaking in all type of other lessons like confidence, like he said, creativity, and sort of tailoring that to what I see in front of me. So if I see a kid that's, we in our after school programs, we focus on art and dance. I've had kids sort of gravitate to the speaker and they're like, hey, or I'll bring my computer and they're like, how does this work? And in one particular culminating, I'm like, guess what? You're gonna be the DJ today. And so I can just imagine, you're in 4th grade, you're like, I DJ'd a performance.
Right.
So it's those opportunities that keep me going.
And confidence builders for those youngsters too,
and
for sure.
It's big for me. It's really big.
I could tell. I see it in all three of y'all's eyes when y'all start explaining this. Asia, this is for you. Because No Props is a 501c nonprofit organization, the program obtains help from outside individuals. Who are some of those people, organizations, or city officials that support such a special program?
So we get, our funding comes in different ways. I'll be honest, our first probably 5 years, we didn't get any grants. Because I didn't really understand how this whole thing works. You know what I mean? People don't really get it. It's not really as simple as you think it is. It's pretty much, they give you the grants based on your organization. So we were thinking it was based on our programs. We're like, man, this summit, come on, since 1994, man, we've had thousands of people there. We got, major talent all over the world coming through. And so to us, it was always a no-brainer, how could they not understand this? And, we're good writers. We know how to write and, of course, creatively, and then put in all those keywords they're looking for, too. Right. And every year was denied, and I'd be like, I was like, if I write another grant and get denied, I'm literally when you hear no enough, you really stop showing up. It's like there's a feeling of defeat.
Yes, ma'am.
But I will say, I actually went back to school and took some classes on it. And I learned that actually how you get the grants is it's the nonprofit itself they're looking at. So they're looking at who's on your board. They're looking at how compliant are you in these areas. They're looking at, they're looking at all these things you really wouldn't think that we're always but we're always about the work, right? We're like, all that, that's there. Yeah. But we're because I know that there's a lot of really, really big nonprofits that aren't doing the work, that hire smaller organizations like us to do the work. So to us, we're this, it just seemed really simple and basic, but it wasn't. It was a very long road into business and into development and into legal mumbo jumbo, and it all costs a lot of money, and it takes money for the insurance and everything else. So for us, getting that part of the organization right took a while. Then we went back on the grant road, and then we started getting approved. You know what I mean? We started getting them. So we get funding from the California Arts Council. A lot of people don't know, but California gets the most funding nationally for arts out of every state. We are, and the reason is because we're the media capital of the world. So, which brings me to a point that is important, that for us, the other part of, so our mission for the nonprofit is kind of twofold. It is to preserve and proliferate hip hop culture for youth benefit and for community benefit as well, for proactive youth development, let's say, and community benefit. But there's a second part, and that's come out of all this, which is that if California is indeed the state that gets the most arts funding, because I think something like a third of the revenue that comes from the state is based on entertainment, so it, and through media and arts and music and what have you, there is because of that, teaching artists that teach this type of cultural experience of the arts, it should be a bit, a compensated lane where people can actually make a real living doing this. Because if we can't help stimulate that, we're neglecting all this stuff. First of all, in order to teach a good program and have an impact, you have to value the people that are bringing that impact forward.
Yes, sir.
So initially a lot in these grants and all that, they're always like, what's your impact? How many kids are you servicing? Da 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 da. Well, that's great. They want those numbers, but they're not looking at the people that are doing the work and what they need to do this work, and and supporting them enough, because there's all types of grants to pay for the programming, but to actually pay for facilitators and insurance and health benefits and employee stuff, there's not a lot of those. So that's a lane that we're actively pushing, because we want to make this lane so that people that are cultural arts workers that teach this material can have a good career doing it. It's important, right?
Yes.
Because all these young people that are coming forward, they're not always going to want to go into all these different industries. They're going to want to be how we are,
Yeah.
They're going to want to make a difference in their communities, and some of them are going to want to do it and should be able to do it for a living. And some people can volunteer and do it, great. But in general, we need to create a real economic base for this to exist on a level much higher than it already is. So that's kind of what we're working towards. So we spit that out in these grants. We talk about it with these funders, like, we do appreciate the support, but we need more support for the teaching artists, because this dance, we want to still be able to do it, of course, as practitioners of the dance, of the art, of the music and everything like that. But it's like we have a kind of there's only so long our bodies can do this professionally, competitively, right? Or even performance orientated. But we can teach this for a very long time.
Yes.
And so we know that it's really important that this can be a viable lane for people that have gone through the competitive lane and are now transitioning into wanting to actually impact their community more as teachers and educators. So, but yeah, the California Arts Council, the Los Angeles Department of Cultural Affairs, LA County Arts, those are probably our three major funders. But we are actually, the bulk of our funding we're getting right now really is through our network partnership with an organization we're a part of called the Artists for Healing and Justice Network. That's actually 13 arts nonprofits, and we're all like one big network that can share funds to do different impact projects, especially for kids coming out of incarceration.
Okay.
Especially with this Youth Justice Reimagined and really reimagining what we can help the youth with, because to divert them from this like criminal justice system that is now going to transition out of being involved in youth justice.
Yes.
So anyway, just so everybody knows, California gets something like $527 million to incarcerate, survey, and basically, oppress our young people. So we do need to come together as a community and invest in our youth, show up for them, pour into them, because they're a product of our society.
Asia One, people. Asia One.
It's important. That's probably the
Asia
most important
One.
thing anybody could do out there. Anybody could do something for some young person, just on any level. Everybody has something to offer them, and if we're expecting them to get that somewhere else other than the community, that's probably not going to happen.
Beautifully well said.
That's just the way it is, right?
Yes, ma'am. Very well said. Yes, it is. For y'all, anyone who wants to field this one, we have these elements of hip hop. Why breaking?
Breaking? Well, I'll tell you like this, breaking is the most physical aspect, I think, of underground hip hop, as far as, what we do with our bodies. And it was just something, it was a positive outlet. I think breaking has always been nothing but, it was never considered a sport. It's always been nothing but a dance, but a positive outlet, somewhere we go in our own minds and just make the most of, whether it's foundation, power moves, being an all-around b-boy, whatever it does to make you express yourself through physical dance form. And breaking to me is a dream come true. And I was able to follow my dreams and just be able to become a professional b-boy and just be able to set a standard for the next generation and make people understand that breaking isn't just something to entertain people, it's a lifestyle.
Anyone else? Beautiful.
I know for me, I started out with martial arts when I was younger, and I had a lot of what you call like youthful rage and anger. And instead of getting into a lot of fights, which is what I usually did, when I came across breaking, that was a way for me to channel that anger into something positive and, hone my, craft into just that. And I found the similarities between the martial arts and the breaking. Again, just like, it was definitely something for me to pour a lot of my energy and my creativity in. And it was very rewarding, again, coming from my area where, it wasn't accessible like it is now, which is amazing here in California. Teaching myself, and, it was a sense of accomplishment when I would learn a new move, or, and just, pretty much grow from there.
Yeah, for me, it's because it was free.
Yeah, that too. Yep, that part.
So I was 13 when I started. I was interested in hip hop, and breaking was free. So I was able to do that, and also because I thought I was a ninja.
Yep.
So I wanted to feel like a ninja, and I was always sort of, into sports and athletic, and so breaking gave me that, and so that was the initial spark. But what kept me around is that to your point, every couple years or so, there would be a breakthrough. There would be a new feeling of something, whether that be, oh, I can do a windmill now, or I can do a halo, or, oh my, like I jumped in this cipher now, and this cipher was different than any other cipher I ever jumped in, or a competition or whatnot. It's addicting. It's an addictive energy for me.
Let's stick on this side. Any other elements of hip hop culture that y'all participate in besides just b-boying?
Yeah, I DJ as well.
Okay.
That was not free. So,
right.
Yeah.
I started, like I said, I started breaking when I was 13, but I had the desire to want to DJ already, but I couldn't start until I was about 18, 19 years old, when I was able to buy my first turntable and buy records or whatnot. And so the two things have really helped me because they bounce off each other. First and foremost, creatively, when you hit a wall with breaking, instead of just feeling like you can't do anything, then you shift that energy to DJing, and vice versa. And then musically, it also helped me understand how I move and how I listen and interpret music. And then on the flip side of that, how I present music. I feel like my biggest, I think the biggest thing about me with DJing is that I'm able to present music to you as though I'm on the floor dancing. You know what I mean? So I feel like I have the best of both worlds, and yeah.
For me, I'd say graffiti, not in the sense that I was getting up or anything, but whenever we'd get assignments in school, I'd always be like scribbling my name or, doodling on the paper, like in Wild Style, they say. Yeah, just like, I always wanted to draw comic books, and I remember just like, as soon as I was able to do my name in a bubble letter, and just trying to build off that. And also MCing too, like, when we at parties and stuff, we'd be with your boys,
Yep.
We'd be at a party or something, have a little circle, and, not that we were like the best at it or, but that was just something that we would just do to pass the time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So No Easy Props is made up of 4 programs. 2 of the main ones is your Hip Hop 101 and the B-Boy Summit, which you were talking about earlier. Could you tell us what is Hip Hop 101?
So Hip Hop 101 is an after-school program. Well, actually, it's not even an after-school program. Essentially, it used to be. Now it's a standardized way of teaching dance and art, hip-hop based dance and art to young people that are school age. So we use like the VAPA standards and California school board standards that are necessary for us to be able to bring it into schools, whether it's during school or whether it's after school. So we're teaching them like basically, okay, this style of top rock, you're using this motor skills, which is producing this. It's kind of a way, we were taught how to do that, to be able to bring this into the schools, basically. So that program is more for school age. It is hip-hop dance, primarily breaking, but a lot of us are practitioners of other styles of dance. We have poppers, we have like more Afro-Caribbean kind of hip-hop fusion stuff, different people that are part of our organization. So they'll teach what their style is based on when they actually get that residency. And then we usually always teach a little bit of the hip-hop arts, so helping the young people tie into like hip-hop is a way of being original and being creative and freestyling these things in a way that produces art, right? So it could be art on the floor, it could be art that you're putting on paper or on a canvas, or it could be art you know, what you're speaking, or art, how you're playing music or making beats. So we don't want them to think that they're all so different. It's actually all the same. It's the same. It comes from the same vein, so to speak. It's just whether it's, you know, dance, art, or music. So we want them to think that anything that they do can be artistic, right? So like, I'll give an example. Like, if I don't know you and I'm reading, all I'm doing is reading something that you wrote, all I know about you is the way that you write your handwriting, right? Beyond what you're saying, I'm looking at your way you're writing. So like a lot of kids today, they care about how they dress, but maybe they don't care about how they write. So if you can connect those things and say, well, you come to school and you clearly have your own little style. It's like, yeah, I like to dress like this. Okay, so if I can't see you and all I know about you is what your writing will give me a sense of your style.
Sure.
And that's what rap is talking about. Like, that's that way that we decided to write, like, because we all learned the systematic way to write in school, but we kind of said, I'm actually gonna write like this. Like, I'm gonna use all capital letters, right? I'm not gonna use, like, you know, I'm not gonna do cursive, I'm gonna do it like this. So we kind of made our own style with our writing. So we just try to introduce that to the young people, that hip hop is about style and creativity in kind of all areas.
This one is for anyone who wants to take this one. In 2024, Paris is going to have breaking. It's the first time a dance sport has ever been introduced to Olympics Games. It's actually a historical event, if I may. What are your thoughts on that? Anyone that would like to take that?
I'll go first. Honestly,
yes, honestly.
I honestly think,
yes, honestly.
I think breaking is always going to be an underground hip hop dance form. The Olympics is sports, but when it goes to the Olympics, I just want to make sure everybody understands and know it's a dance, it's not a sport. And people need to realize that, because no matter how famous, no matter how much money, if you're going into underground hip hop dance and using it in the Olympics, you got to have respect for the culture. And I really think that anybody who gets a part of the Olympics and looks at it as a sport, they're wrong. They need to know that it's an underground hip-hop sacred dance. And I have nothing but respect and props to everybody who's going to the Olympics, supporting it. It's a big movement. And I think that was one of the main goals, was to take it to the Olympics. And to be honest, I'm probably gonna be there, because I have a lot of people that live in France. I'll see y'all in 2024.
Get my room ready.
Anyone?
I think it's a great opportunity, you know, for kids to actually, you know, strive and hope to achieve something in their dance that, you know, this could be the first time that, you know, B-Boys are actually sponsored by like Nike and Adidas, you know. As a hip hop community, we've put so much money into these companies and rarely get anything back, if anything at all.
True.
So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity, just like Jedek was saying. You know, I hope that they, you know, keep the essence. And my thing is, I just hope it wouldn't get to a point where it doesn't lose that kind of, you know, thing that gravitated towards it. Just like Ervin said, it's like, it's free. You know, and you know, my fear is just like, maybe, you know, because like, it's like some people will look at breaking like gymnastics. Oh, I need to go to a gymnastics studio to do that. It's like, no, you don't. All you need is some music and open space and imagination and determination, and you can do it. But I think it's just a great opportunity for the next generation to, you know, set their dreams and know that they can make at least have a future in this dance. Because a lot of times, like, especially when I started, it's like, what are you gonna do with that? Like, you know. It wasn't until like me and Jedek actually got blessed with like the industry. You know, I guess we're that second or third wave. Asia was like the second wave of the industry that actually, you know, fed us, you know, kept us fed. You know.
Anyone else want to field that one, that Olympic question?
Yeah, if I'm honest, I don't care. It's just as simple as that. And the reason I say that, I don't say that in a negative way. I just say that to say that it doesn't impact my life at all.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, because I've already sort of gone through my journey, and I'm still on another journey, you know, that means something to me, right? But objectively speaking, you know, to your point, I think it's already lost its funk. Do you know what I mean? But I also think that the opportunity is there, and you know, it's 50 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we would be naive to think that things are going to be the same. Things are not the same. You know what I mean? And just to make a quick comparison, you know, B Street completely changed my life. You know what I mean?
Oh, me too.
When I saw B Street, I was like, whoa. And then I met people in B Street, you know, and they're like, yeah, we thought it was corny.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've heard that before.
And then
Yeah.
I've also met people later that the way I feel about B Street, they feel about You Got Served.
Yep.
And I think You Got Served is corny.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's
generations.
It's all generational,
Yeah.
you know. So I think for this particular era, I never had any aspirations to be in the Olympics, so I don't care. You know what I mean? But the exposure, right? I think what it'll do is, and I think there's a place for everybody. You know, if people want to fulfill what the underground has done for us, they'll find it. You know what I mean? There might be a little bit of misguidance where they'll think that, you know, being a gold medalist is the way to go. But I think when we're young, we're all naive like that. You know, and you know, there's people that are gonna follow that road and be Olympics, you know, athletes, because that's how they're gonna see it.
Right.
You know, and they're gonna, just to backtrack a little bit, you know, something I was saying about the schools, it's just that in my journey, what I've learned is to not be so much of like the hip hop police and remember like what the point is. And for me, the point is to be happy, right? And so I can't tell somebody how to be happy. If they want to use breaking to go to the Olympics, if that makes them happy, then I support that. You know what I mean? But if there's people that want to remain underground, then I'm here to reassure them that we're not going anywhere. You know, so there's a place for everybody.
That's right.
Wonderful. A couple more questions, then we're going to wrap this one up. Mentioned hip hop, about to hit 50. When breaking first started coming out, everyone was calling it break dancing. We have a language, we have a vocabulary coming straight from y'all. What is, to inform the watchers out there, what is the correct term for this?
Hip hop police, where you at?
All right, this is what
You don't like to say break dancing. We'd rather call it.
So for me, the neutral term is breaking,
Yep.
right?
Gender neutral.
Yeah, because
That's right.
that's the action, right?
Yes.
That's what we do. And then breakdancing, it's a media term. It's a term that was sort of like umbrella for popping, locking, any street dance
Right.
was
That's
called
right,
breakdancing. So my frustration my frustration with it is that I would meet people and someone would introduce me as a breakdancer and someone would say, "Oh, bust a move."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would always look at them like, that's popping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to answer your question, breaking, you know, and the practitioners are B-boys or B-girls, you know, and we all are a part of hip hop culture. That's how I see it.
I would just tag on to that I think that's also a regional thing, right? Because Shabadoo, rest in peace, he was so excited about this Olympic movement because he was like, you know, I have to be a part of it, right? And I was like, well, why do you think so, Shab? Because it's called breaking, and you know, I was the movie star in that movie, right? So that's just like to Irv's point, it's one of those terms that sort of like umbrella a lot of things to certain people in certain areas, but people in New York clearly always knew what breaking was. Like, you know what I mean? I think that you get a different, you know, in the East Coast, breaking was to hip hop what pop locking was out here. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like regional, what, you know, where you were at.
Yes.
And so, but breaking, like, I think that, like, I don't call myself a break dancer ever. I don't use that term. I know a lot of people aren't offended by it. I'm not offended by it. It's not that. It's just that it's like, for me, I don't even call myself a dancer. And I know a lot of people refer themselves as a dancer. I call myself a B-girl because to me, it's a reference to like my philosophy. It's more than just my dance. It's a lifestyle. It goes in a lot deeper than just what I practice, what art I practice. I'm a graffiti writer as well, so it's kind of my affiliation to hip hop culture is when I say I'm a B-girl, because you could say you're a breaker in this day and age and not really feel a part of hip hop culture, right? Because it's been extracted from the root and now it's its own thing. And like Irv was saying, a lot of times, you know, people come into it not through hip hop, and then sometimes they find their way to hip hop through it later. Like eventually you kind of always get back to the vine, right? And to the root. And that's what I think will happen with the Olympics is that whatever happens with the Olympics, it's like going to affect 6 people, right? I mean, 6 people get to go, right, or 12, or however many it is. But the reality is that it's that B-roll footage, right? It's the B-roll of what that is, which is really hip hop culture. Because people are going to be like, man, I kind of remember this breaking thing. I think it's a part of something else that's bigger. And then what's that hip hop stuff? And then when they find out about that, that's when, to me, that's the exciting part. Because that's the part that you can't quantify, you can't put a price tag on it. It's free to everybody. It's culture, it's people, it's community doing these things interactively together. And that's the best part of it. So, you know, to me, whether that gets enhanced because of the Olympics and creates more opportunities for people like this that deserve to have them, to young kids in the neighborhoods, to keep them off the streets and to keep them out of gangs, I mean, that's gonna be a good thing.
Yes, and you're doing that with no easy props, obviously.
Yes.
Very. Last question, if I could get from y'all a quick answer. We're running out of time here. This question I ask to every individual that comes to Temple Tactics. What does hip hop mean to you?
I just said mine.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
What hip hop means to me?
Yes, sir.
I'll be real. It is a culture that is underground and will always be. And hip hop is always gonna have nothing but underground hip hop elements to express ourselves, whether it's through graffiti art, through dance, through music, I mean, you got beatboxing, you got all the elements. I mean, I could keep going on and on, you know, with the elements, but they say there's only 4 elements. I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6 elements people wouldn't even want to mention, whether it's beatboxing or whatever people want to think. I just think underground hip hop, breaking, this is all elements of hip hop combined together and put out into the world to show people there is a way to have a freedom with our physical expression, mental, spiritual, in so many different ways without even having to spend money.
Yeah.
And we're always gonna have a way, an outlet, a positive outlet in culture.
Like you said, free.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I think to me, hip hop is the voice of the youth. It's the movement of the youth. It's the fountain of youth, you know, really. You know, it's a way for kids to express themselves, and just like, was it KRS One that said it? Hip is to know, hop is the movement.
Next.
Yeah, you know, some people would say hip hop is an identity, you know, but for me, you get into hip hop sort of thinking that you're looking for an identity, but once you learn about hip hop, you realize that you were always hip hop from the beginning. You know, so to that I say, you know, finding hip hop is a blessing. So it's like, thank you hip hop, but also you're welcome. You know, because we put a lot into it. You know what I mean? So, and obviously it's culture. You know, so it's the way we live.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate you taking your time out to come and express your thoughts and feelings about this. It's very important that what you're doing, what y'all are doing, and hope y'all can stay for a few minutes and give us a demonstration. Oh, yeah. I would hope so. Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh, y'all heard that. So
We're
stay
ready.
tuned. Stay tuned. Temple Tactics is about to take off and come back, and we're going to have open session right here. Temple Tactics.
Let's do it.
No easy props.
Yeah.
We're gonna-
Go, go,
Let's go, Jetty.
go, go.
Tactics.
What? No easy props in the house.
Let's go, Jetty.
That's energetic on the floor.
Let's go, Irv.
No easy props, ladies and gentlemen. No easy props. Look them up. Non-profit organization.
Hey, hit him with that Brooklyn rock. All right.
No wonder they call him energetic.
Yeah.
Let's go, Irv.
Y'all good? Or whatever y'all want. I mean, y'all cut if y'all want, if y'all are good.
Hey.
And that, no easy props. Yo, one more time. Where we at? Who's this?
Bboy Enerjetik representing West Los Angeles, California. Ervin Arana, Ugly People, Long Beach, California.
Bboy Rapid One.
Asia One, MCK.
No easy props, simple tactics. Thank you for coming. Stay tuned for our next episode. Hey.
Hey.
God bless.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Who's the number on your card?
Ooh, Jetty.
All right.